Just off the north end of Bikej Island, at Kwajalein Atoll in the Marshall Islands, is the wreck of the Paran Maru. The ship was built in Hong Kong in 1926 and 27 for a Philippine shipping company, and it was named the Palawan. This is believed to be the only known surviving photo of the ship, and it was taken from a declassified U.S. Naval Intelligence Manual that was published during the war. The ship was built with the Type B configuration, meaning the engine and superstructure are located at the rear of the vessel, with the cargo holds in front. On December 8, 1941, just 10 hours after the attack on Pearl Harbor as war broke out between the United States and Japan, Japanese forces invaded the Philippine Islands. The Palawan was intentionally scuttled in Manila Harbor on December 29th to keep it out of the hands of the Japanese. However, the Japanese refloated and repaired the ship in early 1942 and renamed it the Paran Maru. Following repairs, the Paran Maru spent the next 2 years carrying cargo to various Japanese bases around the Pacific. In early 1944, American forces invaded and seized Kwajalein Atoll from the Japanese as part of Operation Flintlock. The operation began with air and naval bombardment of targets on various islands of the atoll, as well as shipping in the lagoon. After over 24 hours of concentrated air and naval bombardment, Marines of the 4th Division landed on Roy and Namor at the north end of the atoll, and soldiers of the 7th Infantry Division landed on Inubuj and Kwajalein at the south end of the atoll. On the morning of January 31st, the cruiser USS San Francisco and the destroyer USS Harrison were operating together off the southeast side of Kwajalein Atoll. The San Francisco was shelling targets on Gujigo and Abwaj Islands, and the Harrison was screening to seaward, when the Paran Maru was spotted attempting to escape the lagoon. This is the hand-drawn map from the Harrison's after-action report, which can be used to trace what happened next. The actual name of the Japanese ship was not known until after the war, but the Paran's name will be used here while describing the engagement. At 0845, the USS San Francisco reported sighting the Paran attempting to escape the lagoon, and a minute later ordered the USS Harrison to intercept. The Harrison changed course to intercept and sighted the Paran at 0853 at a range of 6,000 yards. The Harrison again changed course to better bring its guns to bear on the target and commenced firing but missed with the initial 2 salvos. At 0901, the Harrison lost sight of the Paran behind Bikej Island and changed course to due north, and the Paran also changed course while attempting to hide behind the island. A scout plane had been sent out from the San Francisco, and about this time it arrived on the scene to provide gunfire spotting for the Harrison. At 0912, the Harrison opened fire again, shooting over Bikej Island with the assistance of the spotting plane, and began scoring hits at 0913, which started fires on the Paran. The Harrison continued firing until 0920, when it reversed course to the south. At 0928, the Harrison resumed firing on the Paran, scoring more hits, and at 0933, the spotting plane reported that the Paran was burning, listing to starboard, and in a sinking condition. On receiving the report from the spotting plane, the Harrison broke off from the engagement and headed southeast to rejoin the San Francisco. The spotting plane remained in the area for a time, and at about 0941, the Paran was seen to head for the north end of the island, the captain's obvious intent being to try and beach the ship before it sank. The attempt was unsuccessful, and at 10:39 the spotting plane reported that the Paran had sank. When the Paran sank, it was just under half a mile off the north end of Bikej Island, and it was found in 1992 after several years of searching. This photo montage shows the general appearance of the wreck 3 years after it was found. A subsurface buoy at the wreck makes a convenient tie-off for dive boats visiting the site. Descending along the buoy line brings divers to the stern section first, and one of the first things that divers see is that the ship's funnel is still intact. Near the funnel is the most popular feature of the wreck for many divers, which is the aft helm. Some divers have remarked that this reminds them of the type of helm often seen on old-fashioned sailing vessels of the 18th and 19th centuries. At one time, the name Palawan was reportedly visible on the transom, indicating that the Japanese didn't bother to remove the original name when they renamed the ship after its capture. This was often the case with vessels that the Japanese captured during the course of the war. Due to coral growth, the original name is no longer visible today. The rest of the aft superstructure is a mass of debris, including collapsed air vents at the base of the funnel. The framework shows which parts of the decks were wooden. Forward of the ship's funnel are the skylights for the engine room spaces. Peering through the skylights, divers can see engine room walkways and machinery even without a dive light. There is little that remains of the wheelhouse. It was likely constructed of wood, and between the fire when the ship sank and decades underwater, nothing remains except a stand for the ship's helm. The aft mast was upright when the wreck was first found, but has since collapsed to port. Moving past the mast, divers can look down into the cargo holds as they move towards the bow of the wreck. Little can be seen in the cargo holds, indicating that the ship was mostly empty when it was sunk. Swimming to the bow, divers can see air vents for the forecastle and the machinery for the cargo handling booms. There are several hatches where divers can look into the forecastle, but there is little to see as the forecastle is mostly empty. A communications cable is lying across the bow. The anchor winches and other equipment are among the sights to see on this part of the wreck. Unlike most of the other similar-sized Japanese vessels sunk in the lagoon, there is no gun platform at the bow, showing that the Paran never had a bow gun. Ascending along the mast, the ladder going to the top of the mast and remnants of the lookout platform are still present. After checking out the top of the mast, the swim back to the buoy line gives divers an excellent panoramic view of the wreck. Due to the excellent visibility usually found at this dive site, and the intactness of the wreck, the Paran is one of the favorite shipwrecks for Kwajalein wreck divers. The Paran is the only ship in the lagoon that has the unique history of having been sunk twice. The aft helm is an ever-popular spot for divers to have their photo taken, especially those who are celebrating milestones. The interesting history of the wreck and the abundant aquatic life makes the Paran Maru well worth multiple visits for history buffs and nature enthusiasts alike.